In this video, we're at the National Transport and Toy Museum here in Wanaka in New Zealand, or Wanaka. I don't really know yet. Maybe I can find someone today who will tell me. Well, this is an unexpected experience, to be honest. I'm feeling a bit Bugsy Malone in my little pedal car, and we can actually have a tour of what's about here. A lot of stuff is sitting outside here, and let's see if we can have a look. Oh, I can't keep my feet over the pedals. I could do with a passenger to assist here, but I thought this might be easier than actually walking around. I may have been wrong in that, but as you can see, there's lots of aircraft about, but also an awful lot of fascinating trucks. So yeah, I mean, this is a bit of a sad sight, to be honest, seeing all this stuff just sat out here. There's a Ford Laser that's one of those remodeled Mazda 323s next to a Nissan S-Cargo, and what I think is a little Suzuki little K truck, tiny little thing. Ford Zephyr Mark IV. We've got Citroen Traction Avant just sitting there. Big S-Class Mercedes, Jaguar Mark X next to a very sad looking XJ. There's even a Metro here, Alfa Romeo 33, a Land Rover appears to be full of cobwebs. Oh, I thought it was a long wheelbase, it isn't, it's a shorty. Saab 900, Lancia Beta, this gorgeous little Suzuki, what I think is an Alto, but obviously one of those with all the retro kitsch going on, all the goodies. So yeah, some Japanese manufacturers did build these in-house, so it wasn't all Mitsuoka. Hillman there, Austin, that does look like a Hereford, the big one. MO pickup, Consul Mark 1, very sad looking Herald, giving it all the swing axle at the back. That's obviously been pushed backwards into position and the wheels tuck under when you do that. Hillman Hunter in bright orange, I'd love that. Nissan BE-1, and Isuzu Bellet, if that's how you meant to pronounce it. Remarkable car from when Isuzu thought building cars was the answer to everything. Not quite, it turned out. Oh, Wolseley here, Studebaker. I mean, yeah, that's not doing well. These have got a whiff of film prop about them, to be honest. We've got several police cars over there. There's a big thing that has an engine, a jet engine, in fact. We can, oh, a MiG, Polish Air Force trainer. Oh no, we can't go up there apparently. So yeah, initial impressions are not very happy ones, to be honest. They are building another building, so maybe the intention is that all these will end up undercover. That would be nice. See, this is a later Marina 3 with the straight rear lights. Oh well, we shall continue our tour. Now this Mitsubishi Fuso triple axle fire ladder is quite a thing. It's got gorgeous pantograph wipers. Look at those, absolutely breathtaking. Oh, dates from 1973, have top speed of 73 kilometers an hour. And here we've got a Honda Civic, sold in the UK as a Ballard, also as a Rover 200. This is the first time I've actually seen one with its huge rear lights in the metal. These things dissolve for fun, so a bit risky leaving it outside. Now, it did have rego until this year. But yeah, jolly cars, but they're fast disappearing in the UK because they are so mightily prone to rot. I can see a Mazda pickup down here next to this enormous Chevrolet ambulance. Oh dear, that's been sat there a while by the look of it. Classic Ute, one of the early Japanese ones, 1500cc. You could get those with a rotary engine. Holden Vectra, Mazda 626, Subaru Legacy, Rover 75. All just sat here waiting their turn. And Volvo 480 there. But I guess this is where the new construction is occurring. My gosh, there's a Peugeot 605 up there. I wonder how they're going to get that out. Um, well, there's some big old developments. I like how this tractor looks like it's helping. There's a Rover 200 bubble down there. But yeah, just look at this. An entire field full of machinery, cars, Peugeot 504 I can see there. I'm going to see if I can explore that. Little pedal car. Well, yeah, this Bedford spec lift with a bulldozer on the back. It's all quite good, but yeah, again, sat outside. Picking up subtle clues that they don't wish me to go any further, so I think I'll take this back. I'm now sat on the passenger side because it doesn't really make any difference. I thought maybe I'd get more grip on this side. Oh, I'm getting wheel spin. Drifting my pedal car, yo. I don't believe the Ackerman is very good on this. I don't think they were really built for off-roading. Well, now we're inside the museum, and now the scale becomes very apparent. There's toys like you wouldn't believe. Very nice little Toyota Corolla here. And I'm very fond of this Sunbeam Imp. It was assembled here in New Zealand. That is an original colour, although it is resprayed. So I'm still out of breath from the pedal cars. Been on the road fairly recently as well. Stuff here for the Star Wars fans. Phantom Menace. Ugh. And I had an X-Wing fighter like that as a child. You knew the posh kids because they had the Millennium Falcon. But yeah, Carless Day, that sounds like a bad idea. Barbiness. And you know, cute model trucks, but not really with any form of explanation rather. And there's some Air New Zealand stairs. Rather funky little cart based hot rod, which obviously I'm amused by because it has a windscreen wiper. An Austin 12.4, that is a gumdrop. I've read the gumdrop books like I did as a child. That's what gumdrop was. Oh, thank goodness. A typewriter, I was worried for a minute. Humber there, actually a Hillman to us. A Lanchester LD10. I think that was the last Lanchester design before they became Daimlers. Coil spring independent front suspension, 1.3 litre engine. A cuddly Morris Minor, and Series 2 convertible. So as I've learnt, that is the correct grille for 1954 until October. Unfortunately, this fact is not right. The 948cc engine came later, and that could be one for all we know. This would have had an 803cc engine. Let's head outside where there is more stuff out here. That Mini was brand new when parked 5 minutes ago. Okay, I may be lying about that. I must go and have a look at that 8-wheeled Hino in a minute, but it's still raining a bit, so let's try our luck in here. Because look at this, the story behind it is fascinating. Apparently a farmer ordered this Toyota Land Cruiser, and he said he wanted one in fire engine red, and it seems he did get sent a fire engine, so something got lost in translation. It's fair to say this Renault next to it is a very traditional Renault rear radiator behind the engine. That's how they were back then. But yeah, I mean, I think the story has a certain amount of truth to it, because it has covered 508 kilometres. So yeah, it hasn't really had a life. Presumably some angry farmer just parked it up on his driveway. It's quite remarkable. Go and have a wander down here. More typewriters. All is well in the world. A lot of very large internationals here. Early computers. Good old Commodore 64. Was that a compact there? I think a compact was our first family computer, a proper one after the Amstrad CPC 6128, which didn't count. Some very nice radio controlled models here. These all seem very nice. 95% of what's in this collection was bought by Mr. Rhodes, who set up this collection. But it does smack a little bit of hoarding gone quite seriously out of control. Big Fargo here, which obviously must be related to Dodge, judging by the fact that is a Dodge. Dodge Q, Fargo Q. I don't really understand such things. We've got a Morris front-knee bit, but this is one of the beefier ones with a bigger engine, so it's got this really ugly bulbous nose on it. Bedford CF, that looks very nice. Strange international van, a huge Leyland. Yeah, I'm all for oily rag, but this frankly has just the feeling of abandonment. Alpha Sud, well, hasn't been on the road since '99. Strikes me, no surprise, bit of Ross, but Mr. Rhodes was far more interested in collecting cars than actually doing anything with them, and I find that a little sad. I harbour dreams of opening my own car museum one day. I guarantee everything will work in it. Side valve Ford and the later 107E, that's got the overhead valve engine in. I quite like these because you get all the old world charm, but they're a lot more usable with that engine. You can actually do 70 miles an hour. You know, don't get too excited, folks. And we'll just take in this lineup down here. Not the Humber Super nice as it is, because we've got a Borgward here, and Carl Borgward also owned the Goliath brand, which transformed into the Hansa brand very briefly. I can't say I've ever seen any of those before, so that's certainly nice. Bit of variety. And here we've got a DKW F102. If you've seen my Audi 80, my early Audi 80 video, you will see familiarity here, because the first Audi of the more modern era, the brand has a far longer history, it was one of these with a 4-stroke engine in it, front wheel drive, but in this case it's got a 3-cylinder 2-stroke engine hanging out ahead of the front axle. Somewhat modified Volkswagen Beetle and a slightly unexpected Alfa Romeo 147. And yeah, we've even got a Green Goddess. Apparently a certain number of Green Goddess trucks came out of army service in the UK. I think 42 they said. It's probably 42, it's the answer to everything. Came over here, and that's one of them. It has stopped raining mostly, so let's take in the magnificence of this 8-wheeled, well I suppose it's more than 8 wheels, it's got double wheels on the back. Okay, let's say 4-axle Hino. It's I've never seen anything on quite that scale. It's huge. Does it say where it served? It never operated in New Zealand, no other history is available. Well, there we go. Good old Bedford. A very open to the elements Ford V8 there, Chevrolet. But there are more hangars, so we'll go and look in more hangars. Now this is one of the more interesting cars here. This is a Singer SM 1500. It was their first post-war design and quite radical. when you consider companies like Austin and Humber were making, or Hillman even, were making much more traditional designs in that immediate post-war era. It's got front suspension designed by Packard. It's got an overhead camshaft engine, and this is what became the Singer Hunter. We saw 2 of those at the Packard and Pioneer Museum, but these are exceedingly rare. Big rot problems, so yeah, it was very unusual. Well, it is very unusual to see them in the UK. Suicide doors on the back, very dumpy body, yeah, quite impressive. Definitely one of the more interesting cars here. So here we have a pair of Vauxhall Veloxes in rather delicious brown that were in the film The World's Fastest Indian, and Anthony Hopkins has signed this one, and so has Roger Donaldson. I don't know who he is, I probably should, but interesting over here we've got a pair of New Zealand assembled Victors. FDs, but yeah, they had all of the plastic going on, and this is the 3.3, and it was seemingly sold here as a 300, not as a Ventura. In the UK, the Ventura estate was called the Victor 300. Very beautiful looking cars. If you've got a very little fire, then maybe you can put it out with a Morris Minor fire tender. Escorts Mark 1 and 2. This is a rather strange device, looks like it would have been hand powered. A Toyota Sarah with the butterfly doors. And a Mazda MX-5 hidden under a plane. And what's that? Could it be a Mark II Jaguar? No, it is a Mitsuoka Viewt. Got Land Crab next to a Morris Tasman. So there were Morris or Austin badged here. Hillman Avenger Alpine assembled in New Zealand. No, that isn't a mistake, it is an Avenger Alpine. Midget Mark II. But then, come at the back, look at the state of that. Several diamond T's there. Gosh. Tractors. I'm not sure what that is, looks insane. Land Rover Stage 1, by the look of it, a V8 engine. Motorbikes. Oh yeah, and this remarkable thing here, which looks a bit steampunk before its time. No information about it, no idea if it ever actually worked, but it's certainly interesting. Austin Champ, Austin's answer to the Land Rover. Naturally you must have a Trekker if you're going to have a New Zealand car museum, but perhaps more interesting for British viewers is this Armstrong Siddeley Sapphire 236. A slightly unhappy looking attempt to take on the Mark 1 and Mark 2 Jaguar, and yeah, sadly the looks weren't quite there. They're meant to be quite nice to drive by all accounts. This one has the 6-cylinder engine, which is actually less powerful than the 4-cylinder. There was a 234 as well, so a little peculiar, but good to see. Wow, Studebaker Commander, and that behind it is a big fucker, and I can say that perfectly legitimately. It was built in the Netherlands, so chassis with lots of engines on it for reasons I'm not entirely sure about. A Humber Snipe. Interesting, the thing on the side says Snipe 80 and it says 90 on the bonnet, but never mind. Rare Herald Coupe. Holden lineup, that's an FJ, that's a Tirana and VK, I think, Commodore. Again, based on the Carlton body shell, but with a reworked front end, but not as reworked as a VL Commodore. It's all a bit cramped in here. They are building that new building, so all those cars will be undercover and they'll have a bit more space in here at some point. Apparently they regularly have to empty this out so they can hang aeroplanes from the roof. There's a Leyland P76 over there next to an Allegro, next to a Princess. Let's see if I can work my way in, but you kind of know what they look like. We've seen them elsewhere. Toyota Corollas and Ford Laser here. So that's the slightly tweaked Mazda 323. We saw a yellow one of these in the scrapyard earlier on in this series. We've got a Mark 1 Prelude here next to a Mitsubishi Cordia, next to a Mitsubishi Colt, which I think was Japan's first hatchback. Beautiful styling. I can't remember who was responsible for the styling on these, but very ornate, very interesting, very intricate. Clap hand wipers going on. Nissan Z32 300ZX and a pair of Sunnies. 120Y there in the corner, a big red limousine just crammed in the corner next to a Honda City convertible. Beige Lada Niva. Lots here. Look, here's a little Daihatsu Fellow Max like the one I drove. I would like to hear that one screaming, but it hasn't been on the road since 2006. Holden Jackaroo, which is an Isuzu Trooper with an Australian accent. Quite interesting. I've never seen a Jackaroo before. Look at the wipers on these Mark 1s. The spindles are a long way away from the windscreen, and that ensures the blade can wipe more of the screen. Very clever. Series 2 Land Rover next to an Austin Gypsy. A pair of hearses. This one's a Plymouth Fury, and this is Dodge Polara. Very clearly cut from the same cloth. But yeah, lots to see here, and the places I need to be. So let's have a spirited run around restoration project for the look of it, and see if I can get where I want to be, which is somewhere over there. Maybe I'm going in the wrong direction. The Lada Niva provides us with our headlamp wiper moment. Gorgeous. I would love one of those. I think if we go down, oh no, we've got to go down here because not only they're Cortinas, but I'll get shouted at for not looking at. There's a Ford Scorpio here, which I'm guessing might have been a daily driver for the owner of the museum at some point. It's got his plate on it. There's an AU Fairlane, which is the posh version of my Ford Fairmont that I'm driving around New Zealand in. A slightly squarer front end, much squarer back end, and we nicked some bits from a scrapyard for that one. I think this is the EL Falcon, and that's an even earlier one, another Fairlane. In fact they're both Fairlanes, all of the Fairlanes. Let's see if we can get a look at the P76. Couple of Mercs here as well. Look at it, but yeah, here's the Leyland P76. It's another V8. I'm yet to see a straight 6 one, but there was one for sale in Australia fairly recently. And then we've got the Allegro's looking a bit sad. What on earth is going on with those wipers? And here's the Princess. So as I say, they were actually sold as Austin Princess here. W126 with curtains. Fiat 126. Personal 4, and New Zealand assembled Triumph 2000, which you can tell by the vinyl trim and the door cappings because they're screwed on very blatantly. So yeah, another gorgeous Roots machine. That's the same colour as that imp we saw earlier. How do I get out? Help! And this view shows you just how packed everything is in this hangar. Yeah. Which one's your favourite? Well, that was the National Transport and Toy Museum here in Wanaka. And yeah, what a lovely day it is. It just proves that it's not always sunshiny in paradise. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that look around. It's a museum that's going places, it just hasn't got there yet, would be my overall conclusion. But yeah, Hopefully in a year or two they'll have the new building up, a lot more space undercover, and it'll all be happy times once more. But I shall say thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go. I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Farewell. I'm going indoors now.